Hey everyone, thanks for watching. We are the Big Bottom Crew, Big Bottom Squad. I am Steve Arajo.
I'm Tony Paleo.
And I'm John Moody.
And we're just going to talk music, life, stuff. So this week, who do we have, guys? Who are we talking to?
Let's see if I can pronounce it correctly, because until he actually said it, I was doing it wrong.
Okay.
I was too.
Riendeau. Is that it? Riendeau?
Riendeau.
I think so.
So it's Riendeau.
Deau.
Like in French, it would be Riendeau. Rendu, but I think it's Rendu. Rendu.
I was always saying Rendu, but
Okay.
I was doing it incorrectly.
Yeah.
I think his name is Ray, badass MF and bassist and musician Rendu. But seriously, he was what a great guy, and I love the concept of his website.
The Vintage Baseball.
VintageBaseball.com.
Super awesome.
Yeah.
That was a great hang. Great hang.
I think that he has kind of tapped into something that really piques my interest. And if I'm looking for an instrument, I want to talk to somebody that has this expertise. And he's become this expert on vintage Fender basses. It's pretty rad. So how did you guys know him? Because I just met him on the podcast. How did you guys know him?
Tony?
Yeah.
Through the scene, he was a great bass player.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of that list of we always talk about the list of working guys that all know each other.
Sure.
And then I met Ray at NAMM, and actually we had a mutual friend. He knew Derek Ogden, who's another player, by the way.
Yeah. He's fantastic. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, I knew of Ray, mid 90s or so, coming up as he was coming up too, in Machines of Love and Grace and Gary Hoey and all that. But I just formally met him a couple of years ago through GHS, as he came on board as an artist, and then as we became the exclusive string for the Vintage Baseball.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Ah, that's very cool.
Appropriate.
Very, yeah. Especially because GHS made strings for Leo Fender back in the day.
True, exactly. So
that's
he and I went back and forth a little bit on what strings we thought would be cool for the vibe of what he was going for, and we settled on bass boomers for the round core people and bright flats for the more vintage people.
I like the bright flats a lot. You sent me some of those. I still have some. I like those. They're rad. Yeah. All right. So the date. What's the date today? I was looking for my phone. What is it?
Today?
Yeah. What's the date?
May 7th.
All right. So May 7th, we are in the middle. Hopefully the not downfall, but the lightening up of this whole quarantine. John, you're at work at GHS in
That's
Michigan.
right. This right here is my office wall.
Okay.
So,
and we're all good and healthy. And Tony, you're doing
Undisclosed location.
but working. And
did you have to put a bag over your head for them to bring you to said undisclosed location?
I do wear a mask.
Yes. Speaking of bags, I had to get a new, this is stupid non sequitur crap, but I had to buy a new mountain bike helmet because mine was 7 years old. It was disintegrating. So I had to go to a bike shop, and to try it on, I had to put a plastic bag on and put the helmet on. So that was my helmet mask. Anyways, it doesn't matter.
Are the bike shops open right now, Steve?
Either by
Ours
appointment. Yeah, they're by appointment. They don't. One of the shops, you just kind of walk up and they bring stuff to you, or you drop stuff off. Another of the bike shops is open, but they're limiting the number of people. So it's loosening up, but we're still practicing the whole social distancing. G&L is open, but we're very, very kind of skeleton crewish, but we're ramping up a little bit. So it's, you know, and the weather is amazing out here. It's like 80 degrees and gorgeous. So
nice.
Yeah. How about you?
Yeah,
guys?
we're looking at a polar vortex for the weekend.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
No, really? Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah, we're looking at like highs of low 40s and possible snow. I'm like,
nope. Wow. And that's Michigan. And then Boston.
Boston's like I don't even know. It's like 60s right now, like low 60. You know, like decent, fun. Not oh my god, warm, but
yeah,
it's sunny and bright out. It's beautiful out.
Well, you guys have to come back over here. It's 80 degrees, sunny, beautiful. All right, guys. What's that, Tony?
Amore taco and Cerritos.
Yes,
right?
Oh, dude. Yep. Respect, much respect. You gotta love it. So, all right, guys. So let's see. So Ray Riendeau, look him up on vintagebasevault.com. I'll put the links. John Moody, where can people find you?
Oh, you can find me at justmoody.com or on any of the socials at Monjudy.
Cool. How about Tony?
Bassist Tony Pulio on Facebook and Tony Pulio 1, or whatever you like to pronounce it, I'm all right either way, on Instagram.
Awesome. All right, guys. And Steve Araujo, the bass hang, and this is the Big Bottom Crew. Steve Araujo.
Tony Pulio.
John Moody.
Signing off. Enjoy Ray Riendeau.
Oh, there you go.
That's it. Yeah.
What's up, Ray? Nice to meet you. I'm Steve.
Hey, Steve. Yeah, I was like, I don't think we've ever met, man.
We've never met, but I've known about you forever, man. Yeah, great
awesome.
to meet you, man.
Yeah, man.
Stoked.
Sorry about the time. You think I would still know Arizona time, but it has the weird thing where it doesn't change. Like, and I thought it was an hour.
Oh,
man. It's weird.
Yeah, I prefer it that way. I wish California would just give it, like, just stay. Just stay. Yeah, exactly. Because is it 4 o'clock your time right now? It's regular. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. See, I was thinking it was at 5 for some reason because I thought the East Coast was. What are you 3 hours away?
We're 3 hours away. We're 7. John and I are 7.
Yep.
7 o'clock and it's 4.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And by the way, Ray, we're already recording, so we're already just talking.
Okay. Yeah.
Talking smack and shit.
Ray, I haven't seen you since the Zon Brews Bash at NAMM.
Oh man.
So how many years has that been? 4?
Oh wow! I think that was the last year I even went to NAMM.
4, 5?
Really?
4, 5?
Yeah.
Well, that's okay because this last year was Corona NAMM.
Yeah.
True.
Literally everybody that was there either, everybody came in contact or got really sick. I mean, it was crazy, man.
Downstairs was like nuts. Like there was literally people leaving on stretchers.
Yeah, there were some, right? There were some people like.
There were a couple.
There were a couple of people, yeah.
Like I said, get rid of everybody downstairs except for Devin and Aniki cases, and like let's just have like a hockey, like a golf setup down there, like frisbee golf and an espresso bar. I'd be cool.
I mean, that sounds great.
Sounds good, yeah.
And for Ray and I, we'll throw some weights in there. And Ray, I have to ask you before we get into any base geeks.
Oh no.
Yes.
Oh,
all right, stop right there. I gotta ask you.
No.
And I know you hate legs. What are you doing for legs during this workout day?
Wait.
You're gonna really love this answer, Tony.
Good.
Yeah,
Because I hate legs, right? So
I know you hate legs.
Yeah. So it's been the last couple years. I had to just not stop, but I had to reinvent my whole workout because I went a good 10 years lifting heavy and that kind of thing. And when I hit 50, my body was like, no, you're done. And man, I got first it was like nothing too serious where I had to go to the hospital or anything like that. But I was laid up where like I was like not feeling good and like going to gigs like, like a crippled, my back and just like, so I had to just, it kind of, that's what I enjoyed about it. It wasn't like even how much I could lift, I kept track of all that. It was more about just, that feeling, that feeling. It gets, you get your blood pumping. It's like the lift feeling. It's addicting. It really is. It really is. So anyway, long story short, so it really dwindled down to begin with, because kind of everything I loved about it got taken away. So I kind of changed my whole workout, stuff like that. And it went from like 6 days a week to 5 to 4 to 3. So then it just turned into maintaining. Since this has went down, I sold all my weights and stuff because the place I live now, I'm right next to the gym. I could walk to it, a real nice gym. And I sold everything I have, so I don't have anything. But my wife wanted to get bikes. I'm like, probably should do some cardio at least. So I got to tell you, man, now I'm doing legs, because even riding that goddamn bike, my legs are like.
That's my speed. Mountain
Is
bike
it?
and cycling.
Yeah.
And
That's
John.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have
man.
the worst chicken legs, man, and you know, I only bodybuilt from the waist down, really. So I got to, like, this might not sound huge, but I got to 720 on the leg press
Yeah.
right before this stopped. So I got to 18 plates. I'm like, woo, this is good.
Yeah.
And then this whole COVID thing like kept up like 2 weeks later.
Yeah. Crazy.
And now I'm like running up and down the stairs with a 64-pound weighted vest
Yeah.
and doing
Good for you.
standing squats with like the vest and like 55s in each hand, you know. But
Yeah.
I didn't know where you were workout wise. You know.
Well, you know, I've been running to the fridge a lot. I run from the bed to the couch. Yeah. That kind of thing. That's where I'm at.
Gaining the quarantine 25, you know, like right here. Yeah.
It's been horrible.
It's been nutty, man. But okay,
Yeah.
I got to say on the chicken legs thing, because we got I'm big time. I love the UFC and MMA. UFC 249's coming up. Dude, John Jones has the most chicken legs of chicken legs, and he kicks ass. So
Yeah.
there you go. I'm just saying. Anyways,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah.
Well, thanks for that.
So yay to chicken legs. It's okay to have chicken legs, guys.
It's approved, I guess. I don't know. All right, cool.
Yeah. Well, Ray, so just give us a little, for me, I've known you, but a little background, like what you're doing. And I definitely want to talk about the vintage baseball. That's fucking rad. So yeah, like just some background on you. And these guys might know, but other people and myself.
Yeah. Boy, jeez.
Brief or whatever.
Yeah. Make it brief. Yeah. I kind of got off the road probably, 2003.
Okay.
During that marriage, and I had my son and decided not to tour. I know a lot of people do it, and it was something I couldn't do.
Sure.
And so preceding that, I started about in the early 90s with a band called Machines of Loving Grace.
Mm-hmm.
And did some touring with them. That was kind of my big. They were on Atlantic Records, and
They're great, by the way. I still have
it was
CD and everything. Yeah,
it was a cool band, and I even look back at the records. The bass tones were gnarly, because at that time we were using a lot of distorted bass and things like that, and they didn't have all the like dark glass stuff that they have now, and like the all the cool pedals where you could blend. And I remember even using like a rat pedal and then having just my regular send out to the board, and they would mix total dirty, total clean to get that kind of blend sound that you can do with many pedals now, that kind of thing. But on those records, man, it's some of the best bass tones I've ever got. Like,
that's cool.
Work with the different producers. So I did that for a while. Machines Loving Grace, and then played with the guitar, Gary Hoey, guitar player, West Coast.
Yeah.
John knows, big JHS.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's been with JHS for years, right? I mean,
years.
Yeah.
he's a homeboy from out this way.
Oh yeah.
Great player, man.
Yeah. Greg Koch I played with.
Nice.
Was with Fender for a while as a clinician, so I did a lot of stuff with both those guys as far as touring and clinics and things like that. And then probably the biggest thing I'm known for is Rob Halford from Judas Priest. Yeah, I did the Halford gig, which is awesome. I grew up in Iowa, Midwest, metal kid. I was listening to Rob sing before I even played an instrument, so it was always like, I'd look over on the stage and go, that's Rob standing next to him, man. It's great. I was a fan, I was playing, but actually watching at the same time.
That's so right.
And then since being off the road,
Mm-hmm.
I've been playing locally. Here in Arizona, the money is in country, classic rock. Country's big here.
Sure.
I mean, it's like that's all the corporate stuff and things like that. So I've been doing it with a band for a lot of years, doing that, and I still record. I play with James LeBrie from Dream Theater. I did his last 2 records, and we're getting ready to do a 3rd record coming out. Still do that gig again.
That's awesome. Nice.
Hope
And
that was
then-
short enough.
Yeah, and then obviously playing Fenders all the years. Is that your main instrument?
Well, it's funny because it's come kind of full circle in the sense that I, growing up, I had a Rickenbacker. I wanted to, be Geddy Lee. It had to be black. I had to, had that. But also had like a Fender Jazz cut, one of my favorite basses, the Fender Jazz, and had a few of those and through the years. And there was a store out here in Phoenix, the Bass Place, which is still around.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a really hip store. Yeah. And I taught there for years and years. So he was really cool about getting a lot of high-end basses along with everything. So on any given time, I could go in there and play a Federa, a Modulus, Zahn, all these different things. So that's where, I guess Fender.
Headless Modulus then? I remember that.
I did at one point. Yeah. I did. That was my first graphite. I think it was that headless. Yeah. I wish I still had that bass. That was a cool bass.
Nerd.
That was a great bass. That was a cool bass. Yeah.
Tony took a deep dive right there.
I like it.
That was awesome.
Heck yeah. Deep cut.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think of the timeline of when this happened. Okay. So when I got to Phoenix. Like I said, at the Bass Place, I was playing all kinds of stuff, and then it seemed like just because I was at the Bass Place, I got to try so many basses. I had a lot of different basses. It was that time where people were trying different things.
Yeah.
So all the guys there collectively were into the composite necks. Okay. So Modulus was big, Zahn was big. I met Joe a few times. We did clinics there, and Man Ring came through, and different things like that. So I kind of always liked those basses. But at the same time, still like the wood, the visceral sound of those basses. When I got with Gary Hoey, well, even before that, I guess. No, I guess, yeah, Gary Hoey was before Halford. I was playing Fender, and Fender set up their corporate offices here and their research and development for amps. And when I was teaching at the Bass Place, this is probably right around the time of playing with Gary Hoey, pre-Halford. They used to come to the Bass Place all the time because they acquired Sun amps.
Yeah.
Just like they had SWR, and they were kind of buying up some companies. And they acquired Sun, and they were coming down, and they wanted to do something new with Sun and have their own line of the Sun amps, and then they were going to redo like the Bassman again, the Fender stuff. So they started with the Sun stuff, and they were coming down to the Bass Place to see what was selling. They would always come down and go, what are the best amps right now? What's selling? What are people talking about? What do they like? At that time, it was the SWR Redhead, was like, which I still love. That's a great amp.
Oh, yeah.
There's a house gig that I do that's the amp that's there. It's been there for years, man. And it's just like, I walk in, I'm always like, it's such a great amp.
I mean, those guys changed everything. Those guys changed everything for us. Big time. So, Yeah, so they came down, and long story short, I was teaching there, and I poked my head out and see the guys once in a while, and just started to get to know them, and they were like, "Hey, would you like to come down and do testing, on the amps?" Nice. I'm like, "Yeah, sure, man." So outside consulting, I started doing for them, which was funny because, Fender still isn't known for bass amps, and I laughed when I went down there because there was a group of like 15 guys, and they're like all in front of these like amps. I get down there to check out, and it occurred to me, I look around and I'm like, yeah, how many of you guys play bass? There was like 2 bass players. It's like 95% all guitar players. Wow. I mean, I can't imagine making a guitar amp for guitar players. You know what I'm saying? Well, was Tony Franklin with them back then? Was he doing
No.
No, this was post.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Was Beller with them then at that time?
Who?
Brian Beller?
No, this is pre-Brian too.
Wow,
yeah.
Okay. Right on.
Yeah, this is right when they got Sun, And then so I helped them with the Sun stuff, and right at the same time I was doing that, the Halford thing came up, that gig, which was first called Two, a band called Two that Halford did that was an industrial project with like John Five on guitar.
Oh, yeah.
The keyboard player from Nine Inch Nails, James Woolley, and it was a really cool band. Trent Reznor did all the mixing of the record. It was, and Machines of Loving Grace Tony knows, is kind of that industrial thing. So I was kind of shoe-in for that gig. The manager for Halford, for Rob has a home here in Phoenix, and so did he. So we knew some of the same people. I got to audition for that. So when I was with Fender doing that, my career kind of started taking off. So they were like, hey, how about, let's turn this into an endorsement thing. And at that time, I was still doing all my solo stuff too, which I've done throughout all this solo-based stuff.
Cool.
And at that time, they asked me if I'd be interested in, becoming a clinician and stuff. And at that time, that's when you could still do a lot of clinics and do Fender. They had deep pockets at that time, and we're doing clinic tours. And but the catch was for me was playing Fender basses. No problem. Sign me up. But they wanted me to use the Sun stuff, which I was helping them work on. But you guys probably know, sometimes in those situations, your hands are tied of how much input you really have.
Yeah.
Right. There was things. I kind of say it as a joke, but I'd be, they'd say, hey, yeah, whatever you can think of, like for this amp and all these ideas you have and whatever, but you got to use these parts because we already make these parts. Yeah. So even aesthetically, if I was like, hey man, I think these knobs would look better like this. I think people are into this now instead of this. And, so it was kind of at that time, Aguilar was like picking up steam, and a lot of the other, like some cool amp companies that I was very interested in, but it was looking back, it was a good career move. Cool. They did ads with me with the Sun amps, and so that's what I took on tour.
Before they acquired SWR, then that's how
Correct.
came into the picture.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So that went hand in hand. So so I played Fender for a lot of years, and then the Fender thing got kind of weird because a lot of the people at that time they were always changing people. So a lot of the people, I knew everybody there, and they hired a lot of Arizona people, and it got to the point where a lot of people they were just cleaning house left and right. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus or anything like that, but kind of like my relationships got weird with that, and I became like a very small fish in a big ocean, which is understandable. They're going to take my call or Eric Clapton's call, kind of a thing. But at that time, I was decided that I wanted to go to more of a boutique kind of bass and put some feelers out. Still wasn't thinking about the composite necks necessarily. And a friend of mine had told me that Joe just started making wood necks, and I always loved Joe Zahn's basses. And he had the Mosaic line, and I talked to Joe, and he was just super cool. And he was just like, dude, I'll send you out stuff to see if you like it, blah, blah, blah. And that started that relationship with Zahn basses. And after I got a few Mosaics that I liked, the wood necks, of course I had to get some composite necks and started digging those again. And, stayed with Zahn for a lot of years. And the last thing we did is we did a 4-string signature, which is really cool. Nice. That was awesome. And I still have those basses and love those basses. I just did a session a couple days ago for some metal stuff, and I still pull out the Sonus 5-string for the growl, and it's just the bass to grab. And I guess along with the Zahn thing, I've never left that. So I'm still officially Zahn guy and still play those. But then I also, as I've gotten older, wanted to get into getting some of the basses that I wanted from, again, bringing it back around. Some of those old jazz basses and stuff like that. So I really wanted to I think we're all about the same age or close to it. I was born in 66. Yeah, so
52. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I wanted 66 jazz. So I wanted
lollipop tuners.
Yes.
Lollipop tuners. Yeah. Yes.
So I found one in Tucson, and finally had the money to get it, and I got it, and I just fell in love with that again too, the vintage thing. And there's something about those basses that just, the mojo, I don't know, man. There's something about a bass that's been played, blood, sweat, and tears, and the feel of that.
Yeah.
And, you know, so that took off into this vintage thing that I'm doing. So
That's awesome. When did you start the website? And it's vintagebaseball.com, correct?
correct. Yeah.
Right. And when did you start that?
Early 2019.
Awesome.
Yeah. Started that. So
That's cool.
The images are killer, by the
Yeah.
way.
Oh,
Mhm.
thanks,
There's a
man.
great representation of it online. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I saw that you
Thanks.
have a 66
Thanks.
on there. Nice.
Yeah.
I
that
lurked.
it.
I was
So-
lurking.
Yeah. So here's the thing about it. That was my idea is, you know, those bases are, you know, just like you guys from playing for so many years and whatever. And I really went down a rabbit hole of really investigating. It got kind of crazy about the history of Fender
awesome.
and all that. And Leo,
Yeah.
I just love that stuff. And you got to be a detective about what's legit, what's original.
Yeah.
And I've learned so much about that and enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea with this vintage baseball is, you know, getting these bases that I personally want and I think are cool. Some of them for historic reasons, some of them just because I want certain bases, you know.
Sure. Yeah.
And so I'm vetting them in the way, you know, so these bases all play good. I don't have any heavy bases, you know,
Cool.
different things like that. And vetting them for the original, you know,
Nice.
you know, the parts and everything like that. But the cool thing is I just have the idea that the vintage baseball is an investment of these bases that I own. And there's a stack of them here. So when I do a session, do whatever, I can pull out these different bases.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
But at the same time, the idea is they're supposed to be all for sale too. So make a profit and start it into a business.
I think
That's
it's
kind of the
fantastic.
idea.
I think it's
That-
great. I think it's incredible because I would be more apt to buy from a real bass player, guy that plays, a guy that knows how it's supposed to feel, what it's supposed to do. So you know if it's good, if it's not good, if that, because some of the early 70s jazzes are kind of dog shit, or some of them are stellar. So
Exactly.
you know, and going to a real bass player that's had all, you know, accolades, whatever, and knows, I would buy from you before buying from somebody that didn't know. You know what I mean? Like that's, I think it's a great
Is
concept.
the neck okay?
Yeah.
Their face
Yeah.
used,
Exactly.
you know. Yeah.
I think it's
Exactly.
a fantastic concept, man. I think that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
It's scary. It's scary because I mean we're musicians, especially younger musicians, man. It's a lot of money, man. These basses, even when you get into the 70s, we're talking. I mean, $3,000.
I
That's
know.
not-
For a 70s jazz bass or P in the 3
Yeah.
range.
Yeah, just crazy. And I'm starting to lean towards more of that. I mean, financially too. I can't be in that collector's realm.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a 58 because I came across one and I got it for an amazing price. I found that in Tucson as well.
Nice.
And I just had to, you know, it was just like, yeah.
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 I have a 68 jazz. Everything's
nice.
original except it's a refin because
Yeah.
I had a 66 that I let go and I kick myself in the ass every day. I was able to get the 68 and it's like, that's never leaving me. It's So anyways, I hear you.
I got a 75 that there's pictures on Instagram. It's a Sunburst. It's the only 75 I've had in that collection that I've yet to list. And I got it about a year ago.
Wow.
Because I'm like,
3-bolt or 4-bolt?
I might hang on. It's a 3-bolt.
Okay, so yeah.
Okay. And this newest one I got, an Olympic White 74, is pretty amazing too.
That's a 4-bolt. That's nice. I saw that.
Yeah. I did a session where I used that. And I'm like, this is really. Do I want to? But you know, I can't keep them all.
75, was it 75? Yeah, they switched to the 3-bolt.
74-ish was like, like there were still old parts that they could use, but they were transitioning to the 3x75. They were trying to, right? I'm pretty sure that was somewhere around there. I think.
Yeah, it gets wacky with stuff like that, Tony, as you can imagine, because you know, especially during like the buyout, this pre-CBS versus CBS is like, you know, CBS obviously was, you know, they had. I got a lot of basses that have 66 the pots.
Yeah.
So they probably had a box of them, you know, that they were just using until they ran out, you know, for the.
Right. Yeah.
So you have to check. You have to check neck pocket. You have to check neck stamp. You have to check pots. You got to. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you got to go deep dive. But that's
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of times too, I'll even look at, I'm getting better at it now because I've done it so much, but for the people out there, this is the Bible, the Hal Leonard. Yeah, you have that book. I mean,
There goes Steve.
yeah.
I literally great.
Yeah, nice.
I mean, that's the Bible. That really
Yeah.
is like.
I've used it so many times.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So kids, if you're really interested, this is the book to get for just authenticating, finding out what is it, CTS pod, stack pole pod, or whatever. Just knowing
serial numbers.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the book.
Yeah, exactly.
I wonder if
It really is.
Ampeg has something like that just for amps. We should ask Dino.
Hey, well, for old amps,
Yeah, I
For
wonder
real
if Ampeg has
SVTs?
got something.
well, I've had what's it called? There's actually a great resource online that you can probably find. I even have a thing here, Ampeg dating PDF.
Ooh.
Somebody compiled, and it goes back because I've had a few flip tops. I've had a 66, 67 SV12, 68 B15. And those were the same thing as with the fenders of like really trying to authenticate those. I had to go deep figuring those out too.
Do you know what the web page is? If somebody wants to look it up,
Let me see if I can. I'll find it out.
No worries.
Yeah.
And then we always talk about the 70s spacing jazz basses that we all have our kind of own opinion on them. And even though it's just that, instead of 3.6 inches is 4 inches apart, the pickups close to the bridge. Like, are you a fan, not a fan? What do you, what's your takeaway on the 70s pickup spacing?
I'm more like, I don't really have too many favorites. I like a lot of different things,
If it works for something, it works.
Yeah, that's what's been kind of cool about this, of just having, I've never had that luxury before, especially with vintage instruments, just to kind of try different things. And, it's just like with any instrument, they all just have different nuances.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So what's everybody doing? I know you guys talked about this. I was checking out some of the past stuff you did with the quarantine and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, daily, definitely weekly, things are changing. So where's everybody at with that at this point? You guys opening?
John.
Well, that was the first thing we got. I actually got to go back in the office on Monday. So
nice.
So that was nice. And then as of today was the first day we actually had production running the machines again. So, the last 2 days were just meetings with the production management and the union heads to just kind of go over what we have to do now.
Yeah, sure.
Things and stuff. And so I believe I think we're at just under half capacity in the back.
Yeah.
And then I think we'll be able to roll in more as we get going and get everything figured out.
Right.
I think the hardest part was because there's like 4 or 5 main entrances that everyone takes into the office, and now there's one.
Right.
That's been a big thing. So
yeah. Guys checking temperatures or anything like that?
Yep, they're doing that.
Yeah.
They're doing that every morning. Like even when I came in Monday, the guy came in with one of the little temperature guns. So
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well
Smart.
done, medium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feels really sci-fi like. All right, come here. All right,
I know.
you're all right. We've got a runner. We've got a runner. Logan's run. Like,
and then this is standard issue in the office now too. So.
Oh yeah.
So, which I mean, I've got a dedicated office, so I can sit there and be just fine. But as soon as I walk onto the production floor, I got to have a mask on. So.
Interesting. Yeah.
And then
the gig thing's tough, man.
Dude.
I don't know if that's gonna go back to. That's tough. It's crazy.
Some of us are out of work.
Yeah.
Well, but Tony, do you guys have a startup date at the theater at Blue Man? No.
No.
Okay.
No. Just kind of like wait and see.
Yeah.
And I just found out some of the stuff like the Comic Cons and so forth. I thought they were all canceled. They're not.
Oh,
okay.
They're on hold. So we'll see.
Which I'm sure Winter NAMM is probably on hold, but I don't know, man. I don't know. If I took a guess, I'd say no. But then again, maybe I mean I don't know. That's just.
I'm coming out no matter what.
Yeah. Well, and you guys are, when
John
you guys
is
come
too.
out, all of you
Just do a
guys.
live from Leo's.
Yeah, all of you guys come to GNL because Ray. I don't know. I do some stuff for GNL and work for them. And
Oh well,
Sorry,
yeah,
Steve.
I did know that, and I needed to show you something.
nice.
It's my.
Over in
I had a
Hag-
Hagstrom
Oh,
bass was my very first bass I owned.
okay.
And then the second bass I had, which was the real bass, was
Yeah.
an L2000.
Oh hell yeah, dude!
Look at that.
Look at this thing, dude.
Oh
I mean-
my god, I love it, man.
And I
Dude,
bought this probably in '82,
Okay.
new.
Look
That's
at the bar on it.
Kaler,
Yeah.
Kaler, dude.
Yeah, little
Hey,
Billy Sheehan.
what do you got going on by the
Scalloped.
neck? Come on.
Scalloped.
Oh man,
Sal,
you did the
went
Billy
You
Sheehan.
went Billy Sheehan. And is that a pickup? Is that an EBO like pickup, like Billy Sheehan-ish kind of?
It's covered now. I don't know what I
Okay.
was thinking at the time. I mean, you could see the remnants of the green. The
I love it.
fluorescent green.
Fantastic, dude.
One
Yeah.
of the first hip shots they ever made.
Yep.
Nice.
And I love.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we're coming out with that headstock again with the CLS
Are they?
research. So yeah, we're doing that. So, which I like. I like both headstocks, but it's nice to have that paddle. It's really cool. But yeah, just talk about Leo's legacy. I'm able to, 1 degree of separation with John
Yeah.
Aaron and Dave, and I'm in Leo's lounge and his office, and these guys have been there. But when you're out here, let me know, man.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Come and
man.
hang,
I'd
play
love
some
that.
basses, and
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
love that.
anyway.
Why
So
don't you come out to Southern California in January?
yes,
You know?
yeah, come out. Even though
Tony will
it's a little
pick
damp.
you up at the airport because he usually gets to get them. So
He
and
gets
then he drives us all to get tacos.
Yeah.
And
I
then,
always have a car out there. I'm just from Boston. I'm used to having a car, man. I can't do it. Like,
And he
There you
honks
go.
and he honks at everybody, pissing people off, man. Like,
I
dude,
do.
you can't do that here.
You had me at tacos. So.
Yes,
we-
absolutely. So Ray, how about gigging and stuff? Do you have any gigs that are coming up that have been kind of reinstated, or is everything basically canceled out there? Or how is anybody gigging anywhere out there?
No, everything's the casinos, the bars, and
Yeah.
and so we're talking about, when they do open with this thing of even with the restaurants, where they have like maybe 2 tables, every 2 tables
Yep.
are
Yeah.
going to be closed.
Right.
I don't know how many of those businesses is it worth opening because we can't even fill the venue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for us as musicians, we're usually the first. When everything's going great, we never hear about it. But when things are bad, we hear about it. We're the first to hear about it.
That whole like scattered table thing. I don't know. I'm not a restaurant owner, but I know people that do.
Yeah.
If that happens, 80% of restaurants are done. They're done.
Yeah.
They're gone. They're gone.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean the margins on those places are always so slim, so they really
They're
deal in
slim.
volume
Yeah.
more than anything else. So yeah, taking that away is going to be a big hit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I guess for me, I feel like we're starting to see here in Arizona, we haven't had, it hasn't been one of the hot spots or anything like that. And I had to run some errands the other day, and I've seen a lot of people out, a lot of people. It was kind of a ghost town before. So I don't know. It might be a good thing that I'm kind of forced to, be in for at least a couple other weeks just to see how this goes. If it spikes again because everyone's out, or if it just stays
Right.
even or comes down. Because as much as I want to work, I don't want to get sick either.
Yeah.
Or get somebody else sick.
Exactly. Yeah, you got to
Yeah.
take care of family and friends.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's crazy.
Well, Southern California seems to be kind of loosening up a little bit. We're still under, quarantine and stuff, but there's more people out. I actually did a gig on Saturday where the restaurant opened to just a little bit of capacity. There were not a lot of people in there. He was kind of serving food for free. People were buying drinks. Some people were masked, some people weren't, but we were on stage away from everybody and simulcast. And,
Nice.
hour and a half, we just played, and it was kind of cool to be out, but it was kind of strange. But, we made a bunch of tips and we just gave it back to the bar. We just said, here, just, to the owners. But
Yeah.
yeah, and then so anyway, so it was a little surreal that, oh wow, we're kind of in a place, but there wasn't any, but it was empty. There weren't that many people there, so it was kind of
Here's the
strange.
question: are people going to be more hungry when things do open up? Are people going to flock, or are they going to be afraid?
I don't know. Good question.
I mean, you could make a really compelling argument for either side of that, Tony.
Yeah.
You really could. You really could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, not to discount, I mean, obviously it's tragedy, but a lot of people are in and able to kind of learn some new stuff and work from home. Like I've been doing a lot of like Ray, you said, and I know all of us, like a lot more remote recording stuff. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's been nice. Obviously the tragedy and the sickness and not being able to go out is a drag, but I've been getting more home recording work. It's like, oh, okay. I don't know if it's gone up for you guys, but I got more now than I
It's
did.
gone up a little bit. I
Yeah.
think for us, which is cool, is as musicians, especially again, like we've seen a lot of stuff as musicians.
Yeah.
I mean, technology alone. I mean, when I talk about records I played on, different things like that, now versus now, all those kind of things. But we've really, musicians, it's cool to see all the different things happen, and some predictable. Of a lot of, I knew people. I thought about, well, I'll do Skype lessons. I'm like, so is every bass player in the world. It's tough, but it is cool. A lot of, I mean, we always persevere, and find, I mean, because we're self-employed, we're musicians, and we always have that. To be a musician, as long as we all have, we can't be scared of, hey, what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
You can't. Right. You got to be kind of fearless, and you got to change with the tides, and we all have, because we've been doing it. Between us all, there's a lot of years of music and business. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah. It's at the very least, I think it's kind of people have thought about different ways of revenue and just artistic things and all that stuff.
I mean, we had to start thinking differently 20 years ago when you couldn't make as much money from records anymore.
Yeah.
If I use that term, to use that term loosely, record, things changed. Napster came in, people like, oh yeah, free music. And I'm like, people who made money from labels
right
was like, whoa, no, this isn't necessarily good.
Right.
This is going to change everything. And it did. Not right away, but it started.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, 9/11 changed a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, that changed a ton. I was playing in Vegas every month, half the month, and then it went to nothing. Like for years I was doing that and making great bread. It was fun. And then it just went, that was, I think a lot of entertainment took a hit then. I mean, it bounced back, but I think that was a pretty big hit. I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that happened that I still can't believe is a big thing that has stayed for so long when it happened, and it's still happening, is tribute acts. It's crazy to me. And I go by, we play a lot of the casinos, and dude, they're doing big rooms, man. Oh,
they're huge.
And
they are huge.
Yeah, it's such a crazy. Like I thought when that first came out, I'm like, this is not gonna last. I had friends doing it, and this is great. I'm like, that's not gonna last. 10 years later, they're laughing at me. They
are a legit touring act. All the bands,
I have very good friends of mine making their living doing the tribute thing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I don't want to say this because I'll just say it because I'm honest about it. It's a public thing. I fucking can't stand it.
Yeah.
I can't stand it. I never got into this to pretend to be somebody else.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I never did.
That was the problem I had too. I think around the time of one of the first models of that was huge was in LA when they were doing the metal thing, Metal Shop, and all of those were popping up, and then the 70s thing. Yeah. And I remember some of those bands. There was a club here in Phoenix that they used to play. They'd come out like once a month and just clean up the 70s, but they would all be wearing you know, the afros and the.
One of the first band that was probably the Boogie Nights.
Yes, that's what I was trying to think of.
And they are literally a franchise, and they have been. They have. I mean, kudos to them, man. Yeah, they built an empire. That's what they do. They have a bunch of different bands working, and play that.
I'll throw a disclaimer. I'm like happy that anybody's making a decent living with it, or was, you know, cool for you. I'm stoked for you that it works for you. I don't ever want to do it. You know?
Yeah.
Just not thing.
Well, at least with the 70s band, you could play Wild Cherry, you could play KC, you could play all those.
I was going to say that too.
I mean,
I think that's a little more legit, and the fact that it's what I do anyway. I'm playing cover music, and that, you know, somebody that wants to like, hey, let's take it to the next level and kind of look the part and whatever. I can kind of like I can get behind that a little more than like you know I'm dressing up as Gene Simmons every night.
No,
I can swallow the theme thing a lot more than I'm going to pretend to be Tom Hamilton. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're out there. I subbed for a Pat Benatar thing, and they asked me to be part, and I was like, no, I can't. I just didn't. It wasn't me. I just didn't want to do it. Yeah. Like, nah, not really. So.
I did the Chili's thing for a bit. I did do it.
The Chili Pepper thing. A tribute.
It was a goof that we all got together and did it, and to take it to the next level financially, we couldn't, because we'd have to change. Like, I'd have to cut myself off the knees, you know what I mean?
Right.
And go, you know. So I see Ray laughing there, but seriously, we even told by agents you'd have to change the look for what it is. I'm like, I just did this for fun, to mentally masturbate, right? And then I've never, and then I couldn't listen to the music ever again.
Yeah.
I could never listen to Chili Peppers ever again.
Well, here's what did it for me. Hopefully he won't be watching this. A guy I know in town here, we do this casino gig that's up north, and we get out of the heat, out of the valley, and we do it like 3-4 times a year. And we were playing up there, and they have 2 rooms. Mm-hmm. And we were in one of the showrooms, and then I heard there's a tribute act. It's the Doobie Brothers. And I was like, oh, my friend's playing that. I'm going to go see him. I haven't seen him in years, man, you know, because we're always gigging. You never see other bass players, you know?
Right.
So I walk down there, and they're doing Doobie Brothers, and they sound great. And I walk, and I look at my friend, who's just as white as I am, and he's in blackface. And he looks, I'm looking at him, and he looks over at me, and the look that he shot me of like, I could just feel him shrinking. I'm like, oh my God, somebody knows. He was doing the gig, like, hoping no one sees him, you know?
How many years ago was this?
How many years ago?
Yeah.
82.
Whoa. That's
I mean, that's commitment. I'll give him that. I mean, that's
yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
I
mean, 10 years ago, you could get away with it. Now people on Facebook would be like, "There's a protest. This is not right. Blah, blah, blah. Throw daggers. Crucify this guy." You know what I mean? Like, the political correctness thing would be like, well.
Yeah.
I think the only tribute band that I would do is a Spinal Tap tribute band.
That'd be fun.
That's the only,
there you go.
And I would just have to make fun of it the whole time. I would never take it seriously. That's where it draws the line. If you start taking yourself too seriously, that's where it just kills me. Like, I'm 52 and you want me to have long hair and cut off sleeve shirts and tight jeans. I'm like, but I did that when I was a kid. I don't want to do that now. Like, I don't want to look like Kip Winger back in the day. Like, I got short hair now. This is what I don't know. That's
it's
for me.
Not that short right now, Steve. Where you getting the cut?
You'd make a very handsome Kip Winger, Steve. Okay.
But that's the thing is, I think that's where I just I don't want to be. I lived that. I lived the 80s. Yeah.
Well, there's got to be the guys like in acting that are method actors, and they're probably method musicians where they're like, Daniel Day-Lewis. So they're like, I'm Tommy Lee. Yeah. Call me Tommy when I have my wig on. I'm not going to break character.
Not good. Anyway,
more power to those guys. More power.
Hey, more power if you're making money, if you're doing it.
Not hating. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just never thought it would last, but it's I mean, it's great for them. I mean, it's like,
huge.
Wow, it's crazy.
Massive.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So how about in COVID? So out there? Are you required to wear a mask in Arizona, Ray? Are you like? Is it
not required? But
okay?
they've kind of They haven't given. It's more of like we would like you to follow than like mandates.
Yep.
You know, with the exception of opening of places, of course.
Yeah.
That it's all curbside takeout kind of food stuff right now.
Cool.
I am getting. Speaking of hair, I have an appointment to get my hair cut Friday, which is the first day we're back at that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
But I don't know after seeing Tony again. I might have to.
Dude, no. I
No.
want my haircut. I want to get a haircut so freaking bad. It's like in my face. I'm fixing my glasses, looking at myself like, fucking I look like a goddamn bum. What the
Now, see, the problem is, and you can see it right here, is I've got this nice colic. So if I don't keep it short, it gets this nice Farrah Fawcett wave going.
I like
I'm
that.
sorry,
dude.
man. John's got some badass rad hair. Seriously.
Yeah,
My
John-
girlfriend was like, what I should really do is just do the shave off the side and keep the top long. And I'm like, I mean, I'll give it a shot. If I don't like it, next time I go in, I just have him cut it. So
there you go.
All the kids are doing it.
Yeah.
Short
Nice
side.
hat, by the way, there, bro.
well, thank you.
Oh, you got one? I need to get one of
Oh,
those.
yeah.
What is it?
It's the vintage baseball.
The vintage baseball hat, Tony.
Oh my god.
Well, because
I'm
one
not
of the
cool.
ways that Ray and I met was, well, aside from Ray came over to GHS, but then he also kind of pitched, hey, it would be cool to kind of do some period correct strings for these bases when they go out. So he and I talked a bunch. I sent him some stuff. So let's see. You'll have to correct me if I'm wrong on this, Ray. But what is it? They either go out with bass boomers or bright flats.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. Which is awesome. Yeah, it's been great. So, yeah, I like those kind of collaborations like that. It's definitely a win-win of cross promotion. Yeah, for sure.
Well, we got to definitely, John, when this all gets back, we were talking about the original GHS hot rods for GNL, right? Or the Leo Fenders for CLF research, basically. So that's another thing that we were.
Yeah. Talk about deep dives, Ray. I was looking into, like, last summer, trying to figure out when boomers actually came out.
Yeah.
Because it was one of those, no one ever wrote it down. And so as I was doing it, I'm looking through like old records of stuff. And I was looking through an old log sheet of just all the old specs or just stuff we made for other people. You know, so I'm looking through there and I'm looking over and there's some stuff it says for Klein, it says CLF. I'm like, oh, you know, that's CLF research. Yeah, I know exactly what it is. Then I looked over to the left, all the specs were written in the notes. So, and they were right by some other stuff. And I'm like, okay, so these are mid 70s and they said prototype right on it.
Wow.
So they were mid 70 prototypes that we made for Leo Fender.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which probably started in something. So I just on a whim, I called up Steve and I told him, he's like, we got to get some made. And I was like, oh, I put in the order like a week ago.
Yeah,
Nice.
they're badass. I actually have.
Are they cool? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. They're built off. It looks like they're very close cousins to bass boomers.
Yeah.
But there's just a couple different like cover diameter things they did, and they feel a little more balanced.
Huh.
I would say.
Yeah.
I still have 2 sets, so I'll get your info and I'll send you a set.
Oh, you don't even have to do that, Steve. I think I've got
you got a
probably
few?
a half dozen still in the
Cool.
office.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're interesting. They're really cool. We were talking about doing some stuff for GNL to have like CLF research, legit Leo Fender spec strings, which we're still talking about doing. So
Right.
yeah. But that was a cool deep dive. That was right.
Nice. Yeah. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So did you find out like when GHS started? Like
Oh, GHS was August 1st, 1964.
64. Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
Man.
Interesting.
Yep, in the current building, which I believe, because you said you were actually at the building years ago.
Yes. My dad for a couple of years lived in Battle Creek.
Yep.
Wow.
So I made the trek over. Yeah. Checked it out.
So yeah, I found out that building we purchased in late 1970 and moved in January of 71.
Okay.
So, and that's where we're still at. So
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. On a side note, my wife was born in Kalamazoo.
Oh,
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, she told me the other night. Yeah, I was telling her about the GHS. Yeah,
That's cool.
pretty interesting. Yeah.
Now, Ray, you played the GHS on your signature zones as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was using the Zon strings for a while just because it was, getting them from Joe and trying some different things. And again, I think that's just kind of full circle for me too with the GHS, because I just remember through all the years, like all of us trying different strings and the boomers. I remember they were like a go-to for me.
Nice.
And now I know why. I mean, they're just,
That's your go-to string, Ray?
Yeah, they just always work,
Nice.
Yeah, just give me what I want. Yeah.
I'm having a love affair with the super steels. Freaking
Yeah.
Those are like, they just work. They're just
We all like a little something different. I'm all about the progressives, the thinner progressives. Like, I'm almost spoiled. Like, if I play anything else, I'm like, oh, this is too tight. Like, I'm like, I don't want to get dependent on it. And like, I am kind of dependent on it now. Like,
yeah, it's funny how you get used to stuff. Yeah.
John, which model's your favorite? I mean, you work there, but what do you prefer or like?
What that I would normally gravitate towards. I'll usually use the pressure wounds.
Okay.
Wow.
Because they're a darker sound. I mean, I've used the balanced nickels for a long time. I mean, because that's the first set there that I actually took from conception all the way through.
Nice.
So yeah, that's got a special place for me. But I mean, it's funny because I'll play everything except boomers.
How dare you?
I know, right?
The most popular one, right?
More for me.
Yeah.
I think it was some of it too was I think originally when I started out playing, you'll get some stuff and you'll be like, oh, it sounds awful, and it's really not so much that, it's that you don't understand how to use any of your equipment.
Yeah.
And boomers was probably one of the first sets there.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until later that I was using something that turned out to be like that I didn't realize. I was like, oh, I used such and such a string for the longest time, and Russ, the president, was like, oh yeah, those are our bass boomers, but it's a private label.
Interesting. Yeah. Interesting.
So I think bass boomers for me is more of a full circle thing. It's now I understand what they are and what they do, and so that'll be actually when I do cover gigs or something like that. Those are usually the strings I'll put on a bass, just because they do have that like just what I need for that gig.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, there's so many variables to everything, man. It gets crazy. It really does. I think you guys go a lot deeper than I do on a lot of that stuff on gear.
No, I think you're right.
First time we've heard that.
Stop it. You're right there, nerddom.
It's cool. It's
awesome.
Part of me wishes. I mean, I'm sitting here looking at my studio monitors that are Event 2020s from the early 90s.
Dude, those are killer.
But I know the sound. You know what I mean? I'm almost scared. I'm sure, probably somebody would come in and go, dude, this is going to change everything for you. But I'd be like, I don't know, man.
There's a reason that people still use NS10s, old ones.
Yeah.
They're just industry standard, and as long as you know how to get the sound, and that's what I was going to ask you too for direct. Like, what are you using as your recording rig? Or all that stuff.
I have, I used Logic's, my DAW, and I used the Focusrite.
Oh, nice.
The Scarlett, I mean, it's inexpensive, but it works for me, man. That's one of the things that I have been tempted to try some different things. I know the Universal Audio stuff is awesome. Yeah. But I feel like I just haven't ran into any session, anything that I've ever had to do that between a bass, my hands, EQ, software, that I couldn't accomplish, So I know the other thing is I'm pretty open to not have, some guys are always searching for that sound. I wouldn't even know what that is, because I like a lot too many things to narrow it down to a sound. The vintage thing has been great too, in the, you know, kind of psychologically. And when I hear it, some of my favorite music was, you know, from growing up, 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
So like when I plugged in, you know, a 60s P bass into the Ampeg flip top, it was like, that's it. That's the tone, you know? And a lot of stuff out there mimicking different things and things you can get, you know. So I like that, but don't get me wrong, I love the new stuff too. I mean, Zahn's cutting edge, composite neck, you know, and there's it's just I like having all those different, you know, variables. Yeah.
I mean, I'm a true believer in shit in, shit out. If it's shit going in, it's gonna be good going out. If it's good going in, it's gonna be good. I mean, it's your hands. Like all of us record, and we all know how to compress ourselves, how to play dynamically. So I think that's a huge thing too. And I get asked by guitar players, like, how do I record? It's like, just get a good bass, a good DI, and, or just, you know, you got to practice. That's the thing too. You know, it's a different beast. And I think it's here. It's this, you know.
I mean, after a while, you sound like yourself on almost anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I've been playing around with different things lately, and I'm like, God damn, I'm me on almost anything.
Yeah.
You know, really.
Yep.
Yeah, certainly stylistically, yeah, for sure.
Well, I think sonically too, the way that it's approached, you know, I mean, you give 10 bass players one bass and it's going to sound 10 different ways, and you're going to be able to hear like, oh, that's Ray playing, oh, that's Tony, oh, that's John, you know. It's awesome. I think it's fantastic, you know. It's
your sonic signature.
Yeah. It is, but I think for a lot of younger players, this whole I know even for me, there was a lot of this thing of like, you know, chasing your sound, and, you know, like we're talking about, a lot of it's coming from your phrasing, the way you play, just your hands, you know, your heart, your hands, your mind, what you're playing. And it's interesting now with YouTube, I would say to a lot of people, you know, the thing about having your sound is that, especially if you want to get in, as you guys know, doing a lot of different recordings and stuff for other people. You know, I do a lot of different genres, as you guys do. And it's interesting because now you can even look on YouTube, and it's so interesting to hear isolated bass tracks of, you know, John Paul Jones or of Motown stuff. And you're like, that sound is shit. But in the mix, that sound is fucking killing. And so I when, you know, to do more and more sessions, I learned that, like, you know, that's why I have to go at it, like, sonically, they're all different, man. So I can't be like, hey man, I got this sound and I got this, like, I'm starting with this, and I'm stamping it, because it's like, it's so, you know, sometimes I'll do that too, man. I'll tweak it and it'll sound so good, and I'll isolate it. I'm like, oh, holy shit.
I always say there's the bedroom and then there's real music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
Oh wow, I can throw on EMGs and have, like, nothing against EMGs. I'm just using, you know, go for sound and PJ, and then have it like sound like Victor Wooten slapping type of thing. And I'm like, now go put that in the mix and see if you get heard, motherfucker. You might not. You know what I mean? With the bass go, you know?
Yeah.
And if you isolate those old Jamerson, I mean, they honestly sound like dog shit by themselves. They're kind of distorty and so, but crank up everything else, and it's like it magically just fits in that mix perfectly. And it's almost like, I always say, and I don't generalize, I love P basses, fucking love P basses, but by themselves, they're kind of ugly. They're kind of ugly by themselves, you know. They're not shimmery, and they're not Marcusy, you know, and but recorded, they just fit.
The way they sit in a mix.
The way they sit, it's just like, there you go. They fit perfect.
Right.
So,
and there's something too. Yeah, I mean, I remember even a talk I had with Joe Zahn years ago, walking around the NAMM show, and he was just like, he's like, how come everybody still has, like, there's all these great basses, and he was legitimately saying, like, everyone has an old Fender. And that was my thing. I'm like, well, that's the source. And, like, I guess the point I was getting at is, like, you know, I grew up with that music and I love that sound. So although it's cool to have, I think in the rock and metal stuff that I do with Labrie and that kind of stuff, it's turned into more of a modern sound and more,
Sure.
these like composite necks and low tuning, drop tuning, all that stuff like that. But still in popular music, a lot of those tones, we all know. All the session clips, you have to have a P bass.
Yeah.
You have to. You're gonna do sessions. Yeah. Can't show up with the 20-string Federa.
Yeah.
It's all about the mid-range, right? That's what I always say.
The producer will
all about the mids.
The producer will say, "Hey, I have an old P bass here. Play this."
Yeah.
Like, don't play that thing.
Yeah.
But then again, it's nice to experiment and like there's you got to try stuff, and
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you just got to keep trying stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy how Leo hit it out of the park, though. It's really crazy.
So many times. Many times. It's stupid.
Yeah. Yeah.
From his inception to, for me, I love the MFD pickups. I didn't like them before, and the more I started playing them, that magnetic field design ceramic, they're passive, but they're just this freaking low, growly thing, that's just killing. It's killer. And so Leo, he was it. He was it. Yeah.
Are you guys, I just recently switched to in-ears, got rid of my amp.
Oh.
Are you guys doing in-ears, amps, both?
Both.
Both.
Yeah.
Both. Yeah.
What, I've been doing in-ear. I either have the Audio-Technica or the West Tones, and just they're not molded, they're just regular. And I have 3 or
I have some Sures like that. Yeah.
The 535s. Yeah.
I've been using the Perfect Seals, and I can't even remember these cheap ones I got off Amazon that I sent you the link to.
You
Steve.
sent me the link.
Oh, I remember that.
They're like $70.
And you like them?
They're fantastic.
Huh.
Fantastic. I did. But I use the upper end stuff, the Perfect Seals too. I'll use them for like rock shows or something like that, something where I'm jumping around a lot because they won't move at all.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here they are, Tony. They're the KZ on Amazon. They're like $60 and they're like 5 driver.
Wow.
It's crazy. Yeah.
They are shockingly
KZ.
good. They're shockingly good. And they're so small on a plane, boom, boom, like that's it.
What do you use for DI wise if you're not using an amp, or is it always you got some kind of amp?
Hey, look what he's going into.
Oh, now he's the one saying that we were geeky.
You just entered the fire zone, Ray.
Well, I'm just curious because of switching over. I never really thought. And okay,
that's kind of like I don't know how to use.
Does Tony bring out his little commemorative case?
But there's a bunch of them, Ray. But the Ready is like that's the one. Noble makes a great one, a nice 2DI.
I've been looking at that Noble. It's pretty pricey.
Oh, dude, that Neve. I want to get one of those.
Oh,
yeah,
that's pretty great too.
Yeah, that's really good.
What do you guys? I've just got one of these to try. That the Minnow.
Oh, that's what I've been using.
Yeah,
have you?
Stuff, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those guys are awesome, man. I love Trickfish, guys.
I'll show you how I've got it all laid out.
The Ready in the studio, the Rupert Neve. I just started using these before COVID for live on my boards, and I love this. And this is pretty close to the Ready, actually, in a weird kind of way.
Yeah.
So that's my board that I use it on.
Nice.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So it goes in through the H9, and then that's the only thing it doesn't have is a. If it had an effects loop, that would be like perfect. But how it sits right there is fine.
Are we doing a board show and tell? Okay.
Tune her out.
I don't like boards. I just take.
I don't use effects.
There. I know, but those guys, they love them. I'm jealous because I'm like, damn it. I want to do. I have like an optimizer somewhere, but I never.
I've owned so many, and then I don't think I've ever even brought an Octaver once. I brought to a gig, but
this goes.
You know what it is?
Everywhere.
I'm lazy.
I'm lazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, there you go. Oh, and there's the Neve. The Rupert Neve, right? Okay.
I think the reason
pedal kill a compressor because my hands are the opposite of Ray. I play like an ape and he's super controlled. I always have some sort of dark glass on here. I'm envelope filter. I love this. They don't make this anymore.
Oh yeah, the envelope,
And
the
then
big envelope phaser.
to a Neve.
Nice.
And that pedal, the other Neve is going on a clone of the board. For me, this is just as important as a bass. Everywhere I go,
Yeah.
it's just I have to have it.
What's the actual mounting thing you have there?
That's
Oh, the
my
Temple?
Temple Audio.
That thing's cool.
Yeah.
It's clean. It's very clean.
Yeah. Looks nice.
Yeah, and they mount pretty clean on the back.
I like those
TempleAudio.com.
Temple? Okay.
Temple.
Check them out.
I like the mounts that you use for the, or are those just zip tied, Tony? For the
There's mounts underneath, but sometimes I use the zip tie for a
That's
little
cool.
extra.
No, I like it.
But
That's
Yeah.
badass.
but they do have a weird mounting system, like a plate that you screw in the back. So the small ones have that, and then the bigger ones have a couple of zip ties just to play it safe.
Cool.
So
Is it powered? Is there like a?
yeah, I've got a Voodoo power underneath.
Okay.
So
Oh,
I
nice.
plug in this way, boom, boom, one cable down,
Wow.
VI out, psh, I'm golden.
Yeah. There you go.
Compressor's always on, and then effects here and there.
Yeah. Right on.
But I like that Trickfish stuff a lot. Those guys are awesome.
Yeah.
They're good people. Yeah. So you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd like to. I've tried it a little bit, and I like it. I like especially on the vintage stuff, the mids. It's giving me a lot of
Cool.
tone variation of the mids. So I'm anxious to try it, like with the in-ear setup with the live thing once that happens.
I'm
see
sure
if
it'll
it
be.
works.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
my last gig I used the Minnow on was a theater run of Mamma Mia. So it was we were just in a room separate. So it was just a DI straight into the house. And the sound guy came in every night. He was like, I don't know what you're using, but it sounds fantastic.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. Like that. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. I like as little as possible as I can use, and just like the sound of the bass, sound of the hands, amplified.
Yep.
Yeah. Like I said, I've had this forever and I never use it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Well, I think Steve too, like the H9 I have on my board, I'm still only
bad.
scratching like the tip of the iceberg on that because it's got so many crazy effects
Yeah.
on it, and I can control it with my phone.
Oh my God.
I don't use the effects too often except the compressor.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
they're nice to have.
Sure.
And
yeah.
if I'm doing a rock thing, I have the overdrive, which is on really low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Dark Glass is fantastic, but one of the things I really like about it is you can just barely put it on. You can barely blend it in if you want to, just to get like a little bit of like late 70s Getty if you want,
Nice.
Yep.
which is perfect for like a heavy thing, which I still do some of that as well, So,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What do you did you like their compressor, the pedal, the Dark Glass?
I've never tried it. They've been trying. They were going to send me one and so forth. You know what it is? Like you with the old monitors. I'm so addicted. I know exactly what the MXR is going to do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because I have one of the Dark Glass ones and I love it. That's one
Nice.
pedal that I've entertained taking out, and I'm not a big compression fan at all.
You don't need it.
I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
I just want it to work.
Well, you don't want to feel it either.
Yeah, exactly.
Choking.
Exactly. And that one's it's really nice, man.
Nice.
I'd be curious if you got a hold of one just comparatively speaking.
Lauren talked about getting me one and so forth,
Yeah.
and I said, yeah, I would check it out. This is more like a limiter for me. I can't hear this. It's just it makes my notes more like the sound of a keyboard coming in. And if we're cutting through a lot of drummers, or like, for instance, when I was in flight with two battling guitar players, I want my notes to come out like a machine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And playing as hard as I do my right hand, the MXR doesn't really add a color. It just
levels everything.
Exactly, evens it out. That's
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
That's cool. Nice.
Oh yeah. Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Nice, kids.
So, what are your plans, Ray? Well, before we wrap up everything, what are you shooting for? You got the vault going on, the vintage-based vault. What's your big plans for the end of the year, 21 and for 21? What do you want to do, man?
Probably just the same thing I've been doing. Like I've been, I've entertained before the COVID thing. Now it's changing everything because I was just getting to the point where my son's now 14, and it's funny because he he's into metal. So now he's like, he used to, growing up, it used to be like the stuff that I played, a lot of it that I was known for or whatever. He'd go, now he's like, gets it. It's kind of cool. And, and he's even like, Dad, you need to go out again. You need to so I was really entertaining, starting to do some touring and stuff again, but I guess we'll see, man. I mean, this is put a whole new thing on, we'll see what happens. Yeah. This could really change things. Outside of that, I've been pretty content. It's nice doing this vintage thing, being at home, sleeping on my bed, being with my family. And just gigging a lot, doing the corporate thing, and I love recording. So as much as recording I can do, I enjoy that a lot. And just I don't have the desire or drive that I used to have. I put out 6 solo bass records, and a few of them took a lot out of me. Like, I worked on them for like a year, projects and stuff like that. And especially with the slap stuff, I pick up a bass now and I just feel like I'm repeating myself. I feel like the tank's empty. So these days, even as far as playing, I don't play as much. I don't have that drive. I don't force the drive. I'll put it that way.
Sure.
I still have my moments and whatever. So, lately, I mean, just like last week, I heard the Cat Stevens Wild World. Yeah. And I got friends here in town. I did a solo thing. I'll probably post at some point. Solo bass piece. I mean, that's the last few things that I've been doing is like, I've always liked trying to take songs and making them for solo bass kind of thing. Maybe adding drums, everything. I like the challenge of that. Nice. Because that kind of takes me in directions that I never know. I'll run into things like how can I play both these parts at the same time, or how can I facilitate this, and that kind of stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah, have any of you guys had that? I've talked to a few bass players about that. Of just I know life is ebb and flow, but of just kind of the burnout thing of just different.
Right.
I've been stoked being home. I'm like, I do not miss gigging. I don't.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Yeah.
Gig, like, I mean, literally, I could have taken it or leave it. I like doing production stuff. I like being home. I like doing recording and. Yeah, I don't know, man. And it's been, a couple of years. Because like all of us, being home is nice, and not having to just. Yeah. For me, not having to hump my freaking gear for $100 for a shitty fucking bar gig. Like, I'm 52. I don't want to do that anymore. Yeah. I'm done. Right. Like, I do not want, unless it's like, it'll be fun. But to have to, and respect, no disrespect to anybody that's working that needs it.
Yeah.
I kind of want to go after a different thing. So, if that makes sense, I'm kind of like,
totally.
I'm not missing gigging. I'm just not. I don't know.
Well, that's a neat thing about music, though. I mean, there's so many different, ways to make art, to create art, to get art out there. And we all love live, like when it's especially, the right settings, those are great gigs. But it's we've all have done and still do, the grinds. It's like anything else. It's part of it. Yeah.
I still want the live thing. I'm kind of jealous of Steve. I'm like, I like learning. I'm learning more about recording and so forth, diving into Luna Heavy and so forth. That's my dog of choice right now. But I just can't wait to get back on stage. I feed off that energy so bad, man. Yeah. I need that. I love it so much. This is the longest period of my adult life of not playing on stage is right now. So when I get it back,
Tony, do you tour, or do you do localized gigs?
Local blue man, and my own thing, and I just missed like the first Boston Guitar Summit was going on, Guitar Festival, and I was the only bass player on the bill. You know what I mean? I'm like, this is killer, and I'm going up there with my own band, so that's really what I was looking to do. Like I've got the theater thing, but I'm also been pushing a lot of my own thing, like
Yeah. Good for
playing.
you.
Yeah, like, and it's not the same money, but it's rewarding.
Yeah.
Right.
It's rewarding. That's what I wanted to. I mean, like I said earlier, like I didn't get in to be somebody else. I wanted to go play my stuff.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And as long as my mortgage is paid and my kids are all right and my wife's okay, like,
Yeah.
you know, that's what I
Yeah.
want to keep doing. So
Yeah.
not looking to be a star. I just want to go up there and mentally masturbate in front of people.
Well, and it makes you happy.
I'm glad you added mentally.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
Mentally.
that's why
You
he's
could have
not
went to
allowed
jail
to
if you would have said it differently.
Well, I'm not in Tijuana. I'm getting paid differently for that.
That's funny.
Oh god.
That's a
Oh,
past life.
Yeah.
So Tony, and I gotta get you guys hats. Send me your info. So I can send you some swag. Yeah.
Well,
I know you guys.
Well, Ray, I got to get you a base hang T-shirt, and I'll get you I'll hook you up with a GNL hat. And
Well, that'd be awesome. Yeah.
when all this shit lifts and stuff, if you're out here, please. I mean, I'll get your info, but you got to come down, GNL, hang with these guys. I mean,
We'd love to see you out in California.
yeah.
Yeah, I definitely.
And
Yeah.
I'm so glad that I finally got to meet you because, like I said, I've known you and known about you, and I was watching.
Likewise.
Oh yeah, man, that's so rad.
Yeah, and if you guys are ever through Phoenix, same thing, man. You know, come by. Yeah. We'll
We were
barbecue.
talking to Kerry Nordstrand, and even if NAMM doesn't go down,
Yeah.
there's probably going to be something in California in January.
Yeah.
I don't know what. People are throwing it out there.
Yeah.
But I'll make something happen. I go out there enough that, you know, between the three of us, right?
right.
Well, we did the tsunami base hang with.
I was just gonna say, yeah.
And Keith and I were talking yesterday. We did a thing, and I mean, if anything, we'll do some sort of something. We'll do something, man. I mean,
Base summit. Yeah.
base summit, base hang, some bullshit
Yeah.
like that, man. But
Yeah.
And it's a blast. They really are a good time. They really
Yeah. Yeah.
severe geek session, gnarly.
And that's how this thing started, man.
Dude,
This was me, John, Steve, just keeping text up like, we need to take this to the public.
Yeah.
Great stuff, like the inside information we're talking about, like, we
Yeah.
need to do this. And then when COVID happened, we're like, well, no, let's do it.
Well, we've got time now.
we got time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just
No, it's cool, man. That's good.
Yeah.
Good for you guys. That's awesome. And thanks for having me. That's
Oh, of
awesome.
course, Ray.
Oh, man, it's a pleasure. Awesome.
Yeah.
Really, you
Before we
kick
sign
ass,
off-
bro. It was great to have you on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ray.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ray Riendeau. Is that-
Riendeau.
Riendeau.
Yeah. Riendeau.
Riendeau.
Yeah.
Riendeau. Ray Riendeau.
Reindeer in December, but
Yes, yeah. Where can people find you? Social media?
probably I still have Facebook bassist Ray Riendeau. That's the
cool.
official, and then the Instagram is Ray Riendeau.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's attached to the vintage baseball stuff. But there is a vintagebaseball.com
Yes.
website. Yeah.
I'll put links for all that. But
Yeah, and that's been cool too. People reach out all the time. I have no problem, especially with all this research is fun. So it's been neat because people have sent me pictures of like, hey, I got this old bass, or what do you know about this bridge? Is this like, so there's been a neat connecting thing with people that going on with that vintage thing. That's been kind of neat too. Yeah.
you're becoming an expert at that, which is
I wouldn't say expert, but
Yeah.
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 It's a journey like everything else.
That's so awesome, man. Dude.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I am actually going to stop this for the public, but hang on.
Okay.
So, bye, public. Thanks for joining the Big Bottom crew.
Yeah.
And, man, thank you so much for being on, Ray. It means a lot.
Thanks for having me.
All right. We'll see you guys. Bye, public. Let me stop.